Those of you who've actually had sex with a friend's mom or dad, how did it go down? I know a girl who cheated on her BF of 5 years with his dad. She and the dad are married now. That's a mind FCK and a half. When I was 20, the friend in question's mom could get us into a bar her friend owns. Every week me and 3 friends would go and she would buy every drink and be over all of us. One night after her son crapped out early, I just said the hell with it, went along with it when we got back to the house. She was hot for a mom but a dead fish in bed, so it felt really underwhelming to say the least. Anyway, she made me breakfast the next morning, blew me real fast and took me home all before he woke up. I was 23 and she was 44. Her son and I were friends and in college together. She was 5 feet 2. Thin. Really cute and originally from the Dominican Republic. She had always kind of flirted with me. But I just thought that's all it was. I was wrong. A bunch of us got together and went out to have dinner on Nye. And she went with us. We all had fun and went back to her house. Her son and his girlfriend went to bed, and before I was able to get out the door, she asked me to sit beside her by the fireplace. She leaned her head on my shoulder and looked up at me and asked, "Do you want to?" Full stop. Couldn't say yes fast enough. She and I dated for 2.5 years. As a bonus, I learned a good deal of Spanish from her. Some of the best sex of my life. She is a well-known musician. It got weird though because she eventually met somebody her own age and started treating me like one of her kids. She has 3 daughters, yet kept inviting me over for family dinners. Got too bizarre. After reading all the comments, I learned that a marriage on the edge of divorce is perfect occasion to make your move. Also, you don't have to be that close with your friend to be friend at all. I don't know what to do with this information. Edit. So many suggestions. But I think I'll keep vanilla dating with actually single people without any awkward ties with my social circle just to be safe. And I hope I'll get called Mothefka only by my possible future child. So he wasn't really a friend per se. I used to buy weed off him in my mid-20s and he was about 20 and lived with his mom. She was late 40s. Definitely our trash of a material. Went by once and he was just leaving. His mom asked if I wanted to drive her to the bar. Turns out she had had a few and currently had a breathalyzer in her car. I knew I was getting late whether I wanted it or not. Anyway. Fun night. Never went by there again. I didn't know he was her dad. He was just someone I was sleeping with, but one night when we were out driving, we drove past my old high school and he mentioned that his daughter went there. I made the connection with the surname and asked. He confirmed. What? Not SX. But at a good friend's wedding. I was saying goodbye to everyone and decided to do the kiss on the cheek thing with his mom. And she was thinking the same thing. We ended up kissing on the lips. Don't do that anymore. I had sex with an ex-girlfriend's mom. She broke up with me and a couple of weeks later I ran into her mom in the grocery store. Her mom commented that she missed me being around and I said I missed her too. She was a pretty cool mom. She told me that her divorce got finalized. Her sister was going to move in and some other small talk type stuff that we both shared as we walked around the store. I helped her put her groceries in her car and she hugged me. She told me I should come over sometime and see her new paintings. She was an artist. I went over a week or so later and she served me some wine and basically seduced me and introduced me to roleplay at the same time. We did mommy-son incest roleplay and FKed. My god, it was so hot. We saw each other for over a year and then she moved. I miss her sometimes. We did mommy-son incest roleplay and FKed. My god, it was so hot. I had sex with my son's girlfriend's mom. Does that count? Am I the only one who paranoiacally scans the end of each post before reading it to make sure I don't fall for the "you're pulling my leg" copper pasta? I'm looking for the mankind falling through the cage in Hell in a Cell. Threads like this remind me that I have lived an aggressively boring life and I want to f***ing die already. After reading all these comments, all I can say is you all need Jesus in your life. Holy water. Confessions. The whole shebang. The fact that I've got a raging hard on is irrelevant. Is this what we're doing today? We're going to jack off? Mispikin stalked me online for months. Used to send me naked pictures of his family and everything. Had to get the cops involved eventually. Friend of mine slept with my sister and kept making a big deal about it. I honestly could have cared less. And his mom was always making offhand S-word comments when I was around her, so I decided to go for it. She had him when she was 16. We were around 18-19. So she wasn't old and still looked pretty good. Came through one day knowing he wasn't there after flirting with her pretty hard for a few weeks, and she almost immediately jumped my bones. We slept together for a while after and neither of us ever said a word about it. It was fun while it lasted and I didn't stay friends with the guy for other reasons. But anytime he mentioned that he slept with my sister, I had the satisfaction of knowing his mom was extremely into ATM and FK'd like a champion. A2M, ATM, since people wanna be an L about it. Leaving the other one cause I couldn't care less. You mothfka. I wouldn't call us friends OP. But your dad was very gentle. It all started on Xbox Live. Ooh, I can answer this. I actually met the dad first through drunken shenanigans and a different friend, and I ended up moving in with him. Using certain parts of my body to subsidize my rent. And then I met his daughter and she became one of my best friends. She didn't find out about the dad stuff for almost a year. She needed a small break from our friendship when it first came out, haha. We're still friends now though. Is anyone else in here rock hard? Today OP learned about the serious tag. I am vigilantly reading the last sentence of each post first. Not gonna get me with that hell in a cell bullshit today. Oh god, I hope this one makes it to the top. I want to hear some good stories. Oh yeah. It will. People love some good ol' mothfka stories. He walked in on me and said no you. It all started with buying alcohol for us. Some OxyContin and PRN later. Regret and the realization 10 years later. After talking to my wife. That I was indeed molested. Never thought a 14-year-old boy f***ing a 38-year-old woman as being molested, but a spade is a spade. I never spoke to my best friend again. I was at a friend's house and his hot mom hugged me 10/10 would hug again. It all started when I broke both my arms. Not a friend. But a bully. He bullied me for being queer, so I f***ed his dad. I made damn sure he could hear me screwing his dad. The bullying stopped. His parents were already heading for a divorce and I just pushed them closer to a divorce. Now they are separated and now he is married to a nice man. Weaponize gay. You're doing good work out there. Keep it up. Enough Arthaf happened to last a few years. It was at her daughter's wedding. I sat next to her in church. I was pretty pissed that I didn't have a bigger role in the wedding. I was her boss at the time after all. I asked her mom if she had a snack and she gave me a candy bar. I think it was apricot. It was disgusting. I had a hard time swallowing it. That's what she said. One thing led to another. I ended up spending the night with her. Dated her for a while. Until I found out that she was going to be a grandmother. Dumped her on her birthday. I worked at a fine dining restaurant and was friends with the hostess, who was a few years younger than me. Her mother, who I was also friends with, was the Grams. A drunken night and lots of blow. We had a fun time. A friend's mom happens to be decent friends with my mom. After high school she would come around the house before or after her and my mom would go out. It's also pretty well known that she can get out of control when she drinks. Nothing crazy. But she would be more flirty. Surely aggressive and outspoken. Typical drunk stuff. One night they both came home pretty turned up. As my mom would leave the room to grab drinks, her friend would ask me questions like how many girls I've been with, do I like sex, etc. I was past my naive year and saw where this was going. I always thought she was attractive and all the talk had me hard already. So I grabbed her hand and put it on my dick. She felt it for a few seconds and smiled. She then said something along the lines of if it was anyone else I would. Turns out it didn't matter because I waited until we had all gone to bed and snuck my way to where she was sleeping at the living room couch. Had some quick but amazing sex and life went on. She was a slender woman and a very young 94. I always had the hots for her. And when I was 16 we made out at New Year's. Nothing happened except some decent text messages and one other makeout session for another year. And I moved away. Fast forward 4 years and I'm 21 and living back in my hometown. He had 3 kids. All my age. And we hung out occasionally. We got drunk one night and I promised my friend I wasn't gonna bang his mom. Well, she started cuddling up close to me and it was game over. Stacy's mom, in fact, has got it going on. I was mowing down noobs and all 5 moms got wet and I had sex with all of them. My buddy's mom had recently gotten divorced. I went to his house looking for him so we could go play baseball. He had already left but she invited me in anyway. She escalated quick. Other one was a woman I worked with. She asked if I wanted to go out for drinks one night. I had a fake ID so I went for it. Went back to her place and did the deed. Woke up the next morning to her making breakfast. Went into the kitchen to see her and her 2 kids were sitting at the kitchen table. Recognized them instantly. I previously dated her daughter freshman year and I played football with her son. I had no idea how old she was when I went out with her and didn't know her kids were older. Just ask your mom. She'll tell the story. I dated this girl. Right after school. But it didn't work out. Couple of years later. We started talking again and became friends. Which means I was still trying to FCK her but with no luck. One day. She ghosted on me when we were supposed to hang out. She called me later and asked me to come over again. When I got there. She was an emotional wreck. Turns out. She was hanging out with her best friend's dad and they wound up F-king like rabbits. Why she was hanging out with her friend's dad? I'll never know. Her friend found out and called her a SLT and ended their friendship. I thought it was a pretty TTY thing to do. Plus I was pissed off about some old guy F-king this chick I was trying to nail myself. So I just let our friendship die off. That was 20 plus years ago. Don't miss her. That was 20 plus years ago. Don't miss her. Now. You're the old guy. Me and my 2 childhood friends opened a bar together. One of them had these insanely rich parents. Never really around when we grew up. They divorced when we were in our 30s. Fast forward to a few years ago. Wife finds out ex-husband is dating again. She seeks revenge. We bump into each other. She seduces me. I kinda fell in love. She kicked me to the curb. Her son, my friend, found out. Dennis was not happy. Edit. This is a forum for dudes to spill their teenage fantasy in hopes of making people believe it actually happened. Thus making it seem more real to them in some strange way. I'm sure there are some real stories here but a lot of them sound like a classic Pornhub storylines. When I was 19. I ended up in a mental hospital for a suicide attempt and one of the ladies in one of my group therapy groups was the mom of this guy I had gone to high school with. She was separated from her husband at the time and she and I got along well. After I got out of the hospital she and I would hang out and talk or go to the movies. One day. I apparently seduced her, not exactly on purpose, and we sorta started sleeping together a lot. She divorced her husband, told her family she was a lesbian and said she felt like she always had been gay but didn't know it. She went full on LGBT empowerment. This was the early 90s in the Bible Belt and she was a just out 48-year-old. She started dating different women and last I saw her. She seemed very happy. I don't think her son ever knew it was me that turned his family upside down. Once I jerked off on my friend's mom's panties. Left my nut there and everything. in bird culture. Once I had sex with Up's mom. She told me she would never forget it.